Welcome, everybody. I'm talking to you from our beautiful campus in Richfield today. We're spending a little bit of time with Vice President McKiff and her faculty and staff, our faculty and staff down here, as we think about our budgets. And Stacy is going to be kicking off, I think, these divisional budget hearings. And so a little later on this afternoon, I'm looking forward to hearing what our Richfield colleagues have to say, and in terms of the priorities that are there. I gotta say, maybe it's just the beautiful weather today, but I couldn't be more optimistic, or excited where we are right now. And I'm hoping that that when we talk about all the things that are kind of going on at Snow, that you can also capture really the incredible things that are happening here, the individual work that's going on in classrooms and on the field and in the labs, the work that's happening every single day after hours and during hours. This is just a remarkable place, and I like to think that I actually have some frame of reference around that, because I have worked at a few places. And I just have not, this is just sort of a singular place in terms of people's commitment to the students, commitment to each other, the hard work, innovation, the grit even, is really remarkable. And so I want to thank you for that. And you know, it is easy. I mean, we're human, that we often tend to look at, and especially as kind of educated people, we often tend to be trained to look at things critically and through. It's easy to find problems. But today's focus really, I'd like to shift on some of the great things that are happening here at Snow College. And I gotta tell you, let me start out with kind of our biggest news. And I think you may have sensed that since the end of the legislative session, but I wanted to let you know what an incredible year legislatively it has been for Snow College. And let me give you some context. And I don't know whether Carson, you can put up that slide. I want to show you something that is actually quite stunning. I don't know if you can see this, but this is from the legislature, and what this shows is where ongoing monies, right, base budget adjustments, are going beginning July 1. Now, the amazing thing here is that if you look down at the bottom, between our one-time and our ongoing budgets, we will have 24% more money in our budgets this year, or starting next year, than we had last year. 23% of that, right, is ongoing. And you can see the outline above where that's going. $1.5 million towards compensation, and where these other distributions are relative to technical education, to our performance-based funding, and of course that $4 million that we have in addition to these other base budget adjustments that have come on. To give you some perspective, the higher education really did do well generally for the state. I mean, we really are lucky to be in Utah. Base budgets for the system, right? Everybody in the 16 institution system was about 16% ongoing growth between last year and this year. Snow College was 23% or 24% if you include our one-time. We had the greatest increase in the entire system. But not only that, we think that we go back as far as 1888 in the history of the institution, and particularly, you know, during the time that moved from the church to the state of Utah. This has been the best appropriation in terms of real dollars and probably percentage in the 134 history of the college. So I want you to reflect on that. But while it's not all that we wanted, we can't not sort of acknowledge what an incredible year it's been, and it's really due to some people that we really need to continue to acknowledge. You might remember Ralph Okerlund, a former senator. He was doing our legislative work this year, absolutely key in getting into the door, helping us continue to make the arguments that we needed to make. Senator Evan Vickers, who sponsored, who really led the charge on this, and while we started out higher, in order for us to get the $4 million, it wouldn't have happened without him. Senator Stuart Adams stepped in and helped out. Now, just to give you some context, I wish we had time to give you a blow-by-blow of how the legislative session went, but it was an incredible circus. And there were moments where we felt super confident that we would get, a grand slam home run. And then there were moments when, believe me, folks, we had zero. There was a moment when the Senator Vickers had base budget even above the $4 million that was in the budget for Snow College, and when it got to legislative leadership, it was lined up to zero. There was zero. And if it hadn't been for people like Senator Darren Owens, one of our own, and other kind of supporters to get that back on, we wouldn't have seen the kind of opportunity that we have before us. And so we plan on acknowledging those colleagues and supporters in ways in the near future. But if you get a chance to see them or them, let them know that it came with a little bit of sacrifice, maybe even a lot of sacrifice, to stick their neck out for Snow College for this kind of appropriation. We have an opportunity now to, how do we now, with that kind of $7.6 million of ongoing money, again, much of that's going to be earmarked for compensation, and Carson's going to talk a lot about how we want to go about that. But we also want to have these budget hearings, and again, I want this to be part of our regular budget cycle, that every year we have these kind of from the divisions on up, the kind of prioritization and these hearings that we can have all campus participate in, so that that everybody can have a voice, that they can be challenged in public, and we're really looking forward to that opportunity. And so maybe, Carson, on that front, while we're talking about it, can we advance to that schedule, and you want to walk through that slide about the budget hearings that are scheduled?
Sure, I'm happy to, President. So yeah, we have these budget hearings scheduled. The first one is actually today down in Ridgefield, as you touched on, and really kicking that off. Each of the different areas will have an opportunity to hold this budget hearing, to be able to express the needs in their departments or divisions. And so we've asked everyone to submit those requests to their supervisor, and then these budget hearings will be going over each of those requests and then being sent then up to cabinet. And so the culmination of all of this work will be on the afternoon of May 9th, where we'll have a campus-wide budget hearing. As you can see there, it's scheduled for May 9th from 2 to 4 in the auditorium. We'll be going through all of those requests. We'll be going through the prioritized list. And President, just to touch a little bit on what you said with the regular budget cycle, this is an interesting year because we got this funding, which will show up July 1. But normally we're already talking now about what's going to be in the budget request for next year. Those actually have to be submitted to USHE in the fall. And so while we go through these budget hearings, this is not just for what we're going to do with the money that we received this year. but this is also helping us build our request that we're going to be sending back to the state in the fall this year. So this is really kind of hitting 2 years with these budget hearings, but then we'll be able to build on that for the future years. But not only are you helping us decide what we're going to do with the funds that we received this year, but also helping us decide what's going to be in the request for next year.
Now, thanks to our enrollment management team and our frontline folks in terms of recruiting and marketing and online, we are the second fastest growing institution in the state. And not included in this $7 million is about $1 million of tuition growth that we were able to get this year. Now, we don't use that or consider that as ongoing just yet. And so, Carson, you want to talk about how we look at tuition growth a little differently than we would say this ongoing appropriation?
Yeah, so tuition growth actually comes in, generally that is one-time money. We have some students who are coming in, we see that tuition growth, but that's not guaranteed. One of the things that we're really focused on, there is some growth funding that's available from the state. And so if we hit a certain threshold of resident students, and they've looked historically and they said, okay, we need to grow 100 FTE, 100 full-time equivalent students, and we can do that in our lower division, we can do that in our technical education programs, or we can do that in our upper division. And when we hit those new benchmarks, we get an ongoing appropriation from the state. And so we're really excited about not only the growth that we're seeing in all students, which provides us some one-time money that then we're able to use and grow things. But really, when we look at growing, and President, you've talked about this for a while now, about the budget and the structural imbalance of the budget. And when we look at ongoing programs, we really need to rely on that ongoing funds. And so there has been a push to not only grow our out-of-state and our international students, but also definitely our in-state students, which we receive those ongoing funds for. And so SNO has been pretty aggressive in trying to grow all aspects of our students that provide us with those one-time funds and also with those ongoing funds, but they are different, as you mentioned.
So there may be a question out there, or questions out there among those that are our community saying, well, listen, we understand that the institution has imposed a 5% tuition increase. How can the campus do that when we have the largest appropriation in the institution's history? And the reason is, and we made this argument to the students, is you might remember that when it comes to, and this is the great news, is with the compensation increase, there's 5.75% compensation increase going to everybody this year. In order to fund that, though, the legislature only funds 75% of that. We have to come up with 25%, which is what, Carson, about 1.5 million?
Yes, that's correct.
So we had to come up with 1.5 million. As we talked to students, we promised them that that was all going to go into that compensation equation. And we had no student really object to that. In fact, we had students come to us saying, listen, we came here to object to a tuition increase, but once we understood that this is going to our talented faculty and staff, then we're all on board. And again, the good news is that we're still able to be the most affordable and the best value in the state still, because other campuses had to raise their tuition and fees. We did not have a fee increase, so we were able to continue to maintain our accessibility value proposition and still be able to then meet those compensation goals, which again Carson will talk about in more detail in a minute. I want to introduce some really, I think, terrific team members that we have on campus to talk a little bit about what they're doing. Of course, we all know Cade Perry, in terms of one of our superstar faculty. He's going to talk a little bit about the online successes. Kelly Larson in our business, talking a little bit about our 2+2 and other department successes. And then our Staff Association President, Becky Adams, who's, again, one of our shining stars, talking about staff engagement and the Center for Global Engagement. And then we'll have Mike Daniels, our Dean of Students, talk a little bit about what Snow College is doing relative to the care of students. So, Kate, let me just turn the time over to you to talk a little bit about the progress that we're making relative to online and finding ways in which we're responding to the different needs of learners now.
Yeah, thanks, President. Excited to talk a little bit about this. Let me share my screen really quickly and just show you some of the things that we have been working on. So can you see this? Can you see the PowerPoint here? Fantastic. So I want to just talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we have faced because of COVID and because of maybe a more stronger reliance on online teaching. It has required us to provide more resources for faculty. And so I'm very excited to talk a little bit about some of the things that we have worked on over the past year and some faculty resources that we have. So I have a few things that are old news for some people that still might not have heard about this, and then some breaking news today to share. But first, I want to just give a shameless plug here for two events that we have upcoming. On April 15th, I want to talk about some of these details to a little bit more at length with our online faculty. And so we are hosting a virtual online faculty meeting. I'm going to send out an invite to all of our online teachers. If you, for some reason, consider yourself an online faculty member and you don't get that email from me, I'm also sending this to department chairs, or if you're just interested in teaching online and you maybe haven't over the last year, talk to your department chair or email me, and I'd love to send that invite to you to come and talk a little bit about some of the resources in more depth. Then I'm also very excited. We are putting together an annual event that we're going to call this our inaugural Online Excellence Summit that we're going to host over the summer. Details and dates for that are also forthcoming, but we have some stipends and some resources that we're very excited about. But I want to just talk a little bit about a conversation that took place about a year ago that Melanie started thinking about the strategic plan and all of our different mediums, delivery modes that we teach in. So face-to-face and concurrent enrollment and IVC and online and our accelerated program. We had a conversation about in what ways are we accessible and affordable and high quality and flexible and personalized and high touch in these. And it helped us to identify our strengths and weaknesses, and that helped to guide some of the goals that we set and the work that I want to share with you today to provide some resources and some updates. So I have here for you 5 things. I think I have five things I want to introduce to you that are very exciting initiatives and developments and resources for our online faculty. But it has also been an campus-wide initiative. So we have been involved with faculty and staff in every corner of campus, so marketing to advising. And so I think this is an important message for all of our everyone listening. The first thing I want to mention is if you haven't met yet, we have hired AVP for online learning, Diane Johnson. And so if you are a department chair or even an online teacher who hasn't met her, I know that she would love to reach out and talk with you about your ideas for online teaching. I was very honored to be in the conversations with our new online faculty last fall. So most of you know that we host a training for new online faculty, and I was so thrilled that we have just a great bunch of new teachers. Several are already teaching online and we're interested in it. And so I want to share some of the good news and resources for each of these. So really quickly, I will go through each of these 6. CBE, I'm very excited to announce that we are accredited through Northwest our accrediting body, to teach competency-based courses, which are courses that measure students' mastery of a subject rather than seat time. And it's a very popular and fast-growing, flexible mode of teaching that we're very excited about. To my knowledge, we are the only institution in state accredited to teach both tech ed courses and academic gen ed courses through CBE. So we are very excited. We have 9 GE courses for our CBE pilot this fall, and then there are several tech ed programs that are developing CBE as well. So we're very excited about this initiative and some of the resources that we have in place. I'm also really excited about some of the improvements that we've made and developments to our accelerated program. So some of you have worked with our AOL program, and I want to just share 3 things that have been strong improvements and really made me proud to work with some fantastic colleagues here on campus. We have, number 1, hired qualified adjuncts for all of these courses that have been approved by departments. And I know, just speaking of some that I work with in the English department, they are fantastic faculty colleagues that are teaching these courses very well. Part of the reason for that is because we have hired course leads here, Snow College faculty members, to train them and to ensure quality curriculum with a design checklist that has set the standards very high for what we expect in a quality course. So we're really excited about those improvements as well. And then this is the old news. If you haven't heard, if you still refer to the TTC, which was our Teaching and Technology Center, we have rebranded that, renamed that as the Teaching and Learning Center. And I just want to introduce some of our amazing staff. We are building a fantastic team to support faculty in our TLC. We have, in addition to purchasing software and tools for Design Plus, that integrates into Canvas to make our courses look more consistent and instruct students better in Canvas. We have 24/7 online tutoring available for students as well, in some labs that we don't have on-campus labs for, which is really a great tool for our students. We have hired a technologist, 2 media specialists, and 2 instructional designers. So I'm just super thrilled with the team that we are building in our TLC. If you haven't stopped by to meet Justin, the new TLC director, or Derek, or Joe, or Stephen, or Jennifer, or Sam, please do so. Visit the library in the basement and learn about some of the awesome resources that we have from the Teaching and Learning Center. And then we have also developed what we're calling online quality mentors. And I'm super thrilled with this group. We have a group of 12 faculty experts who have helped mentor other faculty, new teachers, and despite all of our growth, we've actually grown our online teachers and courses dramatically, in part because of COVID. We're staying on pace to keep our design standards approved for all students. And we have a goal to be 100% ready with all of our online courses by this fall. And I just want to share some stats because I'm so thrilled with this group. We have 181 unique online courses, meaning a different course taught by a different instructor, whether full-time or adjunct. And we've made a commitment to making those courses more consistent, but also allowing autonomy from the teacher by setting up some faculty-approved design checklist standards. We have reviewed with these faculty mentors and approved 134 of those 181 courses, which is, as you can see here, almost 3/4 of our offerings. And we have another 47 that we are planning to work on with this summer for our round 3. We have been paying a stipend to these faculty. We also have some new courses coming on in summer and fall that will increase this total, and we're excited to mentor them as well. So I'm so thrilled with the progress that we're making and just the dedication to student success in our online courses. The last thing I want to talk about is a advisory committee of faculty from different academic divisions that have helped us to share that faculty governance for all of these online developments. And so it's a non-voting, just advisory committee of faculty members, but our Online Excellence Committee has helped us to develop a 3-pronged quality assurance program for our courses. And that's really the breaking news I want to share today. So we have created a web page. And so the last thing I want to share is if you are an online faculty member or a department chair, or you're interested in teaching online, we have launched a new website on our Snow web page. And if you go to the faculty and staff page, you'll see it there under the faculty resources. And I just want to show you very quickly this page because I'm so impressed with what marketing helped us to do. So from our main web page, you go to faculty and staff, you'll see has a new link for online excellence. And we have a fantastic set of resources here. You can see this cool wheel that will spin and show you some of the resources for that design checklist that I talked about. Some other resources, I won't read over all of these, but some things you can get from the TLC or some things that you can just get virtually on the web. We have course delivery standards that a lot of you who have taught online courses have been evaluated for A&T or adjuncts for your annual reviews. We've customized that review for online classes so that we're no longer using the in-person face-to-face evaluation form, which has been very helpful. There's also a step-by-step guide that will walk you through kind of a flow chart of what's your top priority if you're a new or even existing online faculty member. And you can go through and take this little survey and it will just walk you through those priorities. And then I'm most excited to announce today that we have, for the first time, a certificate with an instructor training that we want to roll out over the next few years. We do have an opt-out option for this, but we are very excited to provide faculty with something that they have asked for a while. And we have a stipend attached to a course that we are going to release this summer and want to share with faculty, particularly those who have taught before in the past but want to upskill some of their teaching, and then those who haven't taught online. We want to provide a faculty resource for all of our teachers. So if you are interested, I would encourage you to check out our Online Excellence webpage. It is live, and from our whole team, I think we are interested in hearing faculty thoughts on any of these steps. So please share your thoughts with me. But we're so excited about how we are kind of adapting and providing some of these resources for our amazing faculty that just supports our students phenomenally. So thanks so much, President.
Thanks, Professor Perry. That just makes me all the more proud of this campus, the type of kind of can-do spirit, when it comes to sort of innovation and actually taking some risk, that's never very linear. It's all about hard work. It's all about how we can continue to improve. So this is always a work in progress. But Kay, thanks for your leadership, Provost Jenkins, your leadership, Diane Johnson. But really, kind of more importantly, those faculty that are doing this every day, those staff members that are supporting these students. And so, again, we're not there, and I don't know if we'll ever get there, whatever there is, but it is an ongoing process of improvement, and we've come a long ways in 18 months, 2 years that we've been. So thank you so much for that. I want to turn some time over to Professor Kelly Larson and our business department to talk a little about some of what's going on in his department in business.
All right. Well, thanks, President, for allowing me some time to brag on the faculty in the business department. As Marcy asked me to talk a little bit today, I thought, well, there's not a lot special to share, but as I put some pen and paper down, and I filled up a whole page of things that I could share about the business department. But I think the most exciting one we have right now is we're working on a 2+2 with Weber State. It's really more of a 3+1. We've been cultivating a relationship with Dr. Eric Smith at Weber State. What he envisions is that students will do their Associates of Science Business at Snow College. Our faculty will teach their third year at Snow College in our classrooms, and then it will be a seamless transition to Weber State. And the reason why they're so interested, and I think this is maybe a testament to Terry, is he said, you guys are just stealing our students and taking them to Sanpete, and we want them back. And he said, we have these students, they want a out of house or a college experience, and we want them back, and they end up back in the Weber area anyway. So we're about halfway there. We've got a meeting next week, and we're going to hammer out some of the details as far as classes. So I think that's the most exciting thing right off the bat. Just a couple of other points, and I'll turn the time back to you. Earlier in the school year, we received $1 million grant from Allen Hall to develop a sales program. This week, we've got 16 students that are heading to Baltimore to compete in the National DECA competition. So that's pretty exciting. As a lot of you know, some of you might not know, but the business department, we span a couple of different disciplines. We have the business, we have agriculture, and we have the outdoor leadership. But I wanted to especially give it to Kendra, a group of equine students to Texas to compete in the National Rein Cow Horse competition. And against all the other colleges in the nation or universities in the nation, they ranked 7th. And that's not just junior colleges, that's all colleges and universities. And I think the biggest win there was that they ranked higher than Texas A&M. So I think that's a big win for Kendra. And I know she's working really hard. If you've seen her facilities, she's working on a shoestring budget. And I think that's a big win. 2 more things. Our business ambassadors, they're visiting about roughly a high school about every 10 days. And they've got a snow blast coming up this week. And then we have a couple of service classes here in the department. Alan Christensen's social media marketing class helped raise $21,000 for the Stampede Pantry, and my tax class, we're on track to do 150 tax returns for students and the elderly, totaling right around $60,000 in tax returns. That's coming back to the county. And then we're working on 2 tech ed certificates that hopefully will be online by fall. And the cool thing about the one tech ed certificate, as I've met with all the other tech schools, they're seeing it as a pathway to potentially send students to SNO. So we're excited about that. There's a lot of fun things happening. So thanks for giving me some time to brag on our people. So.
Well, thanks, Professor Larson. Thank you so much for all you're doing. We have such great faculty and staff during a very difficult time. We know, but I hear these stories occasionally, and one I just heard recently about one of our faculty members, Whitney Ward, who does a lot of our outdoor leadership work, and he essentially has an outdoor immersion program for students. And of the 112 days, the last 112 days, he has slept outside with them 90 of those days. That is an incredible. Are all over this campus about the kind of sacrifice and commitment. And anyway, and that is true too for our committed and gifted staff. And so we wanted to give President Becky Adams, who's the president of our staff association, a few minutes to talk a little bit about what's going on in the staff world.
Thank you so much, President. Yeah, we're super excited to get the opportunity to have this conversation and to share this with the entire institution. There was really a push about 3, maybe 4 years ago to reinvest in our staff association and bring that back to life. We've taken some time to look over things, but we have finally brought it to where we're up and running. We have 6 or 7 different committees that we are working with that are doing different events around both campuses. The biggest one that most people probably participate in is our staff professional development. So they usually do like lunch and learns or sponsoring some tech development, and we're going to keep growing with that. But we have some amazing upcoming events that President Cook is going to talk about here in just a minute. I would like to flag that we are also going to be welcoming an amazing, wonderful keynote speaker for our professional development week. So for all staff on both campuses, full-time, part-time, May 9th through the 12th, which is, I know, coincides with our budget hearings. So come spend the morning with professional development. We've got some great kickoff events. That committee has worked really hard. And then join your budget hearings. Like, really, we are becoming an advocate for making our voices heard. It is critical that we speak up and speak out and have the conversations. With whomever you're comfortable with. We will also have human resources and benefits, HR potentially, but benefits will be doing some presentations, and we're looking for active participation. So I sent out an email yesterday kind of encouraging you to get involved as a staff member. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Tammy Hales is our president-elect. Matt Green is our past president. Paul Tu, actually, people may not realize, Paul Tu represents Snow College on the Utah Higher Education Staff Association. He is the president-elect for UHESA, which is the staff version of USHE. Right? I'm thinking that's correct. Staff version of USHE across the state. So he meets, and our staff association presidency meets with staff associations from every public institution in the state. And Paul, too, who works in Office of Institutional Effectiveness, is going to be stepping in as president next year. So this summer, we have an amazing opportunity to welcome all of those staff association presidents. We have reserved space up at the Great Basin Station. Excited to go show them the opportunities and what we have up there as we welcome all these other institutions. So we have really a growing staff association. And in case I haven't said it enough, we want your body, we want your voice heard, and we want you to participate. So I think this is the perfect time to get involved. It is, as President Cook and all of the cabinet have mentioned, it is everyone's passion for Snow College that really drives us. And we want you to be heard to the best that you can. So the other thing I was asked to speak about is some changes to the Center for Global Engagement. Like Kelly, I'm a little biased to the area that I work in. I think I've got one of the best jobs working with his international students. They are delightful. We have had just a wonderfully generous donation made to the college for the main purpose of growing and developing not only our incoming international students, but our outgoing international students. So Melanie Provost Jenkins sent out an email yesterday to the entire campus that highlighted some of the restructuring that's going to happen. We are having a shift. Kind of a lateral shift. Alex Peterson's going to be moving and working more with returning to the classroom and outgoing and internationalization of campus. Wissam Abid, who served for many years, is stepping into the director position. We've been able to use funding from a previous retired spot to bring in another full-time. And our most exciting thing is we are going to be moving to the student center. So I don't feel like we're begrudged in the noise building in any way, but it does make sense for math teachers to be here with the math lab. And that's kind of always been how it is. And now with the shifting of the mailroom, there is this space that has been created that we are excited to fill. So come fall semester, knock on wood, we will have offices open and running, and we will start to be representing the international students in the student center, which from all of our perspectives here, we are excited at the opportunity to be able to make it a more student-centered, centralized location. That will give us a great opportunity to showcase the international population during all of our snow blasts, during any campus visits that are happening. So everyone in the office is super excited to move forward with that. And it's going to be a great year. We're excited for everything.
Thanks, Becky. I've always appreciated your kind of enthusiasm and your love for your work. And again, that really, we can feel it. And thank you for that. And it's exciting things going on, Staff Association, but also with the Global Engagement Center. Let me round this part out with asking our Dean of Students, Mike Daniels, to talk a little bit about students and some of the things that are happening around the kind of care of our students. So Mike.
Yeah, thank you, President Cook. I appreciate it. And thank you for your efforts during the legislative session and for fighting for us up on the Hill. I know it wasn't an easy fight, but we appreciate that. And Becky, we're so excited to have your group, Global Engagement, here in the GSC. We can't wait to have you here. I think you guys will add so much to the GSC, and so we can't wait for you guys to be over here. Here's just a quick little snapshot of all the great things, the ways that our faculty and our staff are supporting students here on campus. Our care team continues to support students. It's a 10-person team that's made up of faculty and staff, and they help support students and intervene when students are in distress or need our help. Just a quick little plug for the care team. If you do have a student that you're worried about, please go to the care team's website, snow.edu/care, and share that concern with the care team. That care team will come alongside the student, help in any way we can, and make sure that they're supported during their time here at Snow. We continue to have great student life events. They've persevered through COVID. It's been a little bit of a tough road for them because they're used to that that interaction with students and being there with students, and so they've done the best they can. Now I'm happy to share that we're going back to pre-COVID events, so expect big things happening this next year from as far as student engagement with student life. And thanks to Zeb White and Chelsea McIntyre for all that they do for student life over there. One of the great things that I was able to attend this year was the grand opening, cutting of the ribbon of the student reflection room on the second floor of the library. It's open from Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's a place where students can just spiritually reflect however they see fit. Thanks to Student Life and the diversity and inclusion for making that happen. Just please encourage your students to use that reflection room on the second floor of the library. We just launched a campus-wide free wellness and life coaching for all of our students. This is something we're very excited about. It's called Trula Coaching. You'll start to see advertising for Trula Coaching all over campus. It's a free resource for students to meet with a peer coach to work on things like reducing stress, gaining confidence, managing time better, and receiving guidance. It's confidential, virtual, and flexible, and so we think it's going to be a really good resource for our students. I had these magnets made for the Trula coaching, and so if you'd like to have some of these magnets to give out to your students or have in your office, just come and grab some from me or email me, give me a call, and I'll run them over to you. Most importantly, just please encourage your students to sign up for the Trula coaching for those high-risk students, but also those high-performing students that maybe want some stretch goals as far as that goes. Sorry, is my camera on now? I apologize for that.
Yeah, we can see you, Mike. It looks like your camera just came off. There you are now. Okay,
you can see me now. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, just most importantly, just make sure that your students are signing up for Trula Coaching. You can go to snow.edu/Trula Coaching. Next, another way that we're supporting students, Julie Erickson and Paula Robison in Disability Services created these things called Badger Lunch Brunches, and basically they're meeting with students and giving them a space for students for them to connect socially with other students. And so these Badger Lunch Bunches are growing and they're becoming very popular. And so if you have a student that you think would benefit from attending a Badger Lunch Bunch, just reach out to Julie Erickson or Paula Robison in Disability Services and they can get that student connected with that group. Health and Wellness continues to support our students' mental health. This year we added a new therapist on the Richfield campus who is tasked with focusing on Zoom therapy appointments and serving the Richfield campus, and so we're very excited about that. Lisa Laird and her team in Career Services employ over 1,000 student workers here in Ephraim and Richfield, and so we just want to thank them for continuing to provide our students, jobs on campus. We're in the process of relaunching and expanding Buster's Pantry, and so if you know of a student that needs food and is food insecure, it's located in the GSC, and so make sure that you are able to get them plugged in with Buster's Pantry. All the food for Buster's Pantry is purchased using faculty and staff donations, and so if you'd like to contribute to Buster's Pantry, just let HR know and they can get that contribution set up. Lastly, the Lorenzo Snow Student Awards will take place on April 25th. We had over 80 student nominations this year, and so we're excited to award some of those awards to several students that are deserving of those awards, the Lorenzo Snow Awards. And so this is just a really small list of the great things that are going on here on both not only in Ephraim, but also on Ridgefield to support our students. Students continue to be supported because of the great faculty and staff that we have, and make sure, always to take care of yourself. We want staff and faculty to make sure that they're supporting each other, they're supporting themselves, and that we're here for each other. We're not in this alone. We're all in this together. And so make sure that you're looking out for each other. We're able to do all these great things for students because of each and every one of you. And so that's just a small little snapshot, snapshot of what we're doing for student support here on campus. Again, thank you for the support of faculty and staff and administration and all the people here on campus that make our students feel at home and feel like they're supported and cared for. Send it back to you, President.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Really appreciate that. And again, just to remind us that with this kind of care and intentionality, we remain the safest campus in the system. We want to maintain that for purposes of our students, and so thanks for everybody who kind of rallies around our students and making them feel that they belong and that they're safe. So let me turn the time over to Vice President Howell. He's going to talk a little bit about the compensation plan generally. We're still kind of working out the details, but we thought that you might be interested in the initial thinking about that. Again, the decisions, of course, in terms of impacting your own compensation, it won't happen until July 1st. That's when we get the resources from the state. But so we have some time to work on this and try and get it right. But Carson, you want to talk a little bit about compensation? Anything you want to let them know in addition to budget, or anything else that you think that our folks would be interested in?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to. So, President, as you mentioned before, we received a 5.75% compensation increase. That is fantastic. That's higher than I've ever seen in the state coming to state employees. We recognize and understand, though, that there are inflation costs; those are going up, and so we recognize the difficulty with the salary and the compensation. What it does show, though, is that the state is trying to make an effort on that. And what Snow College is wanting to do is to build on that effort that the state has established. So, as you mentioned, we are looking to do the 5.75% across the board. That is unique among the institutions. A lot of institutions are looking at maybe a 3% or a 3.5% and holding that other piece back in order to do some additional market equity and other issues. And so I think that what we're trying to do, and this is where the benefit of that additional $4 million comes in, is to be able to do that 5.75 across the board and then build on that with the additional funding that we received. So some of the things that we're looking at is for those part-time positions, making a floor of $12 per hour. Now, again, the 5.75 will be across the board and out to everybody. And if there's somebody who's still below that floor, then this will raise them up to that floor. The other one that we're really looking at is the student compensation. Student employees here at the college are making $7.25 an hour, and it's hard to compete with some other private industries and private companies that are paying a lot more than that. We have students who are wanting to work, that use that to offset their tuition and fees. And so by increasing those up to $10 an hour, we're hoping to offset some of those tuition increases. And one of the other things that we're looking at with those additional funds is expanding the opportunities for part-time workers and for student workers across campus. And so we're really trying to be strategic in how we're using those funds in order to increase the salaries for everyone, but then also target some of those areas where people are below the market. And so I've been talking with HR and the budget office, And then also Cade Perry will be participating, but we're looking at this group going out and meeting with supervisors, talking with each of the supervisors about the people individually and saying, tell me what the responsibilities of this position are. What is the time of service of that person in the position? What's the education or the certification levels of that position? And then lastly, what's the performance? So really looking at those 4 categories as we grow that up to grow those positions and those salaries up to more of a market rate. That is being done through the Coupa comparisons, and that is a national standard that we use. But recognizing that we'll look at those Coupa standards, but that may not account for all of the nuances of an individual in a position. Here at Snow College, we have a lot of people who are doing 2 or 3 jobs. And so we'd like to account for those additional responsibilities. We want to account for the time of service and that education level or certifications that people have. And then lastly, again, is their performance. So that's how we're addressing the compensation. Now that's going to take some time, but HR has already started to work on this, HR and budget, and then from the provost's office for the faculty members. And so we're working on that now. And those meetings are going to be scheduled here with all of your supervisors and with you supervisors to go through. And so we'd ask you to prepare for that, look at what the data says, what the title of the positions are, and that will help the process go much more smoothly.
Terrific. Listen, we're going to open in a minute. We're going to open up to questions. In fact, I'm looking at Marcy. We still have a opportunity for people to kind of type in questions. Okay. So as people, please feel free to kind of weigh in on questions or clarifications as we've got probably another 10 or 15 minutes. I know we're a little over time, but we have a lot to share with you. We haven't had a chance to talk to you before the end of the legislative session, so we have a lot to catch up on. But thanks, Carson, for doing that. Some important dates we want to share with you on. This has really been a tough couple of years. We acknowledge that, and we really now we're kind of coming out of our that pandemic. We want to kind of do a lot more kind of on-campus socials. And Carson, I don't know if you have that or Marcy, but I want to share some dates with you. We have 2 employee appreciation lunches. We'd love to have you find a time. We're going to start one on April 19th here in Richfield from 12 o'clock to 2. It'll be catered. Just come, relax, grab some barbecue or whatever lunch we've got there. We'll have a similar thing in Ephraim up on the library patio on April 20th. And we're doing this in a way so that we can even have Annette and her team be able to sort of participate in this as staff. Usually they're usually kind of running around trying to cater to everybody, and they'll be able to enjoy it. We also are really excited working with the Senate and the Faculty Association. We want to do really kind of a family appreciation blowout at the end of the year, right? Probably in late May, early June. We'd love to sort of rent out a pool, probably in Manti or somewhere close. Maybe do one in Richfield, one in Manti. Be able to have a barbecue. Be able to have some. You bring your kids. Be in the kind of late afternoon, early evening, where the weather will be good, and we just sort of socialize with each other and kind of take a breath, maybe a sigh after all of what everybody's been through. So again, we hope that hope that you can attend those with us. So 19th here in Richfield from 12 to 2, April 20th in Ephraim from 12 to 2, and then we'll get back to you with some more details relative to employee and family appreciation night in late May, early June. With that, I also want to remind you about commencement. We are, believe it or not, we are 1 month from commencement. So you can see on May 5th is our is our Richfield commencement. We have a 10 o'clock lineup, 10 a.m. lineup with the 11 o'clock ceremony. Our keynote speaker is board member Aaron Osmond, a vice chair of the State Board of Higher Education, a terrific champion of Snow College, but a terrific champion of tech ed and other things that we're committed to doing. And then remind you that we have our 4-year convocation that same evening on May 5th at 4 o'clock in the Eccles. So take advantage of that, support our 4-year students if you can. And then the Ephraim commencement, May 6th, the lineup will be at 1:30 with a ceremony at 3. Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson is our keynote speaker for that event. She has a terrific message, I think, for all of us, but particularly for our students. So please join us. Please support students and coming and celebrating. It's really one of the funnest, most gratifying events we have on campus. So please mark your calendars and be there to support students if you can. Now, so maybe a quick update and roundup with our cabinet. Terry, do you want to talk a little bit about enrollment and where we are moving into summer and into next fall?
Sure. Becky and I have been emailing furiously because our dashboard went down for a minute and it's back up. I had a heart attack because it showed that we were down in all categories. And I'm like, I know that's not true. So let me start with summer enrollment. We're looking fairly strong considering where we are right now in the cycle. We're about 120 students up coming into summer classes. And we know that the majority, if not all, classes are online, but this is still a pretty positive indicator of what we're looking forward to for fall. So in fall, great news, we are up in all categories. It's really fantastic because we've been putting a lot of effort into our marketing, our outreach, the events that we're doing, and we're really starting to see the things that we've been doing over the past several years to really bear fruit. Right now, we are just about 200 total students up for fall in total head count, but it's really positive because we're about 100 students up in continuing students, and we see that rising. And our new freshmen were, again, up about 100 students over where we were last year. So we're trending in a positive way. A really great indicator nationwide as to how our fall student count is going to look is those FAFSA completions, the free application for student financial aid. We've been trending downward, much like the rest of the country for a long time, but you know, here in Utah, we're always either 49 or 50th in FAFSA completions. So oftentimes we can't use that as the biggest canary in the mine to see where we are for that indication, but we are up considerably over where we have been, which is a very exciting thing. Our financial aid office has gone out and done a lot of FAFSA nights at the high schools to get students to complete. And it's one of the things that we know that if a student completes a FAFSA, they're more likely to persist and stay at the college and persist to graduation. So that's another positive find that we have, not only with our incoming students, but also with our continuing students moving forward. So good news. Had a heart attack, but now we're back.
Great news. And really, those that are on the front line doing the hard work there, really, we want you to know we really appreciate you. And this hasn't been this growth hasn't been easy for you. And luckily, I mean, we've got some resources that maybe the cavalry will finally come and help us in important ways to alleviate some of the workload pressures that growth brings to the campus. So thank you. Let me turn to our provost, Provost Jenkins. Tell us a little bit about academic affairs and some of the things the cool things some of the faculty are doing.
Great, thanks, President. The first thing I wanted to talk about was I presented last week at the Board of Trustees meeting a study done by USHE that indicated Snow College had a very high number of students with food security issues. And the study also indicated that many of those students typically just go without when they're short funds. And We know that security in all of its facets is really important for student success. Things that happen outside the classroom impact what happens inside the classroom. And issues like food insecurity are really real concerns for our students. So one of our trustees initiated a sponsorship campaign, and to date we've received over $20,000 in donations to help alleviate food insecurity for our students. So this is very exciting. We're very pleased about that. We just completed student body elections. 900 students voted, that's a high turnout for students participating. There were several candidates. The last couple of years, our candidates have run uncontested, so there was excitement this year for student government. And Jackson Rowley and Daniel McAllister were elected as president and vice president, and they're going to be working in the coming weeks to select the rest of the team. We have a very exciting opportunity coming up that many of you have already signed up for, but Dr. Bernice King, descendant of Martin Luther King, will be speaking in Salt Lake on April 21st at 5:00 p.m. Here are the tickets. Most of them are spoken for, but we've got about 19 left. And if you're interested, we are organizing rides and a dinner afterwards to go and have a conversation with your colleagues about some of the things that you heard. And we'll be taking students, staff, and faculty to that event. It's very exciting. I also wanted to do a shout out for the Expect the Great conference that Snow College hosted a week ago, I think. We had over 200 virtual attendees, all of whom left with a very positive impression of the college, our president, our faculty, our staff. Expect the Great is a state-initiated opportunity for Black students to convene and hear from scholars who represent them. And I just want to thank those who helped plan and execute this event. And more importantly, I want to recognize all of you who worked tirelessly to help all of our students succeed and feel a sense of belonging on our campus. We learned in that conference how important that is. I also just wanted to mention, I get some questions occasionally about Sundance and our relationship with Sundance and the AOL program. And we're finishing up 2 years right now of a 3-year contract. And so we're making some decisions about how to proceed at the end of this next academic year. We don't want to obviously wait until the 3 years is up and then decide what to do. We have some options. They range from modifying the contract to actually taking over all of that on our own. And we might be leaning towards the end, but I want to remind you that when we began this project, it was pre-COVID, and our goals were really to grow our online presence. At the time, we had several online courses. We didn't make any effort to market those, and there was not much intentionality institution-wide in terms of a long-term strategy or plan. Am I frozen?
No, you're good.
Okay. And we knew that we didn't really have the money to build the program or to market to these audiences, and nor did we have really the knowledge of how to market towards an online student body. So we consulted with several OPM groups, and I actually made those contacts. And I was told that no one was willing to work with us. Number one, because our tuition was too low. Number two, because we're only a 2-year institution, and if an OPM is going to invest in your institution, they want 4 years of enrollment. And then 3, our enrollment was not large enough either to support that. So they essentially gave us a hard no. And so Sundance stepped in to fill that role because they had experience in the K-12 market. And looking back on it, it's clear that neither of us knew everything that we needed to know when we started. But, well, as a result of that, we faced some hiccups, which I know maybe some feel like that's an understatement, but we worked through all of those. And we've developed now, I think, a product, and you heard from Cade, that we're really proud of. And I also want to acknowledge that we've expanded our enrollment through that partnership by 500 students. We've had growth the last 2 years, in large part because of Terry's team, but also because of this partnership. And this year we're recognized as the second fastest growing institution in the state, and those students were important there. So as we move forward and think about how we're going to renegotiate or rethink this offering, we want to make sure that we sustain growth. That growth has been really important to us, that we protect our capacity to offer high quality product, and we want to increase our opportunity to for a revenue stream. So if we choose to take it over, it will require us some investment as well. And then the last thing I wanted to say is to our faculty and staff, thank you. We feel that people are burned out, that this has been 2 years of persistent and frustrating realities, and the pandemic has really taken its toll. So as we're thinking about these budget allocations and about requests, 2 things keep coming up in cabinet, and I really want to assure people of this, that we're thinking about compensation, we're thinking about workload. So my last line is thanks for hanging in there with us. Thanks for showing up every single day and offering the best quality experience that we could for our students, while all kinds of outside pressures were making that difficult. And just so grateful that our students have had the kind of experience they have, and that's because of you. So thanks.
That's well said, Provost Jenkins. Thank you. And again, it is about doing the work every day, showing up, and that is not easy given everything else that's happened. So I really like Mike Daniels' advice that we need to have self-care. We can't really help our students or our families when we aren't able really to be able to take care of ourselves. So we really hope that you, and we support you in taking that care seriously. Let me jump back to Rob Nielsen. Rob's got some interesting updates on athletics and auxiliaries, and a bunch of other stuff that I think you'll be interested in hearing.
Thanks, President. First thing, we'll go over the campus scheduling system. We've gone to in-house and kind of a centralized service. It's working really well. We're continuing to add buildings. We hope to have most of campus there before summer starts, but it's going really well, and we appreciate everybody's help in making that scheduling system work. COVID, it won't be much of a report. We're not testing anymore. We are continuing to stay in touch with the state officials to see what these new variants will do, and we're ready to adapt or to continue to monitor COVID and do what we need to do to make sure we're as safe as we can be here. There was a question on wrestling. We are starting wrestling in Richfield. It's going really well. Both teams are being recruited and having great success in recruiting. There's a lot of interest in both the men's and women's wrestling programs, and they are funded through an outside agency, a grant we have with USA and Utah Wrestling, and that's a 7-year agreement. So we'll see what happens. The question was that ongoing. We'll see what happens as we continue to build that program over the next 7 years of how it will be funded. But we do plan on having wrestling. It's not just one time, a couple of years and then we're done. We think it will grow and be a very positive part of Richfield campus. Couple of news items. Our women's basketball team had a really good year. They lost in the final game, the championship game of the district, which would have put them in the national tournament. But Zoo Grenzel had a great first year and did a really nice job. Our men's basketball team had their best year in many years. They received an at-large bid to the national tournament, which was the first one since 1970. They went back and won their first game and then lost their second game to the number 2 seed. Drake Allen, one of our players, was acknowledged as an all-tournament team member, which when you only play 2 games, it's almost never done, but he played really, really well. He's a second-team All-American and has 30 or 40 Division I offers, along with several other guys. So it was a really fun year for them. Women's softball is currently the team that's in season. They're about halfway through their season and had a good weekend. They beat Salt Lake in one of the games for the first time in many years this past weekend. A couple of changes. Chad Carpenter has resigned as the softball coach, and the athletic director consulted with the men's basketball team coach and decided he should probably retire. So the men's basketball coach is retired and will be doing his AD stuff and other stuff. So that's
By the way, I have a beef with you, Rob, that you let him go so easily. I think you only get a coach like that every generation or so. So I'm just I'm a little bit sore about not keeping our coach.
Well, we couldn't afford him. That's kind of the report from athletics, and auxiliary service is doing well, and housing is full. Been a really good year in housing, and looking at a positive year as we look at people already applying and moving into housing for next year. So food services is going well, and we're getting ready for FSY. There's a lot of construction going on campus with our auxiliaries, and some changes to the food services area, new equipment and new freezers and different things, which will help not only FSY, but the entire college during the school year. So a lot of positive changes going on in auxiliaries and the areas that we're working with here.
Well, on the fundraising front, we were able to raise some money for a Snow College bus. You want to talk a little about that? Because it's about ready to be delivered, right?
Right. So we received one of our alumni members was able to contact a friend of his who gave us a great deal on a 2018 Volvo bus, and part of that was they are wrapping it. I should have a picture, but I don't. It looks really neat. It is really a good-looking bus, and we'll be able to use that for athletics as well as other things on campus to save quite a bit of money, and also to do a lot more promoting of Snow College as we're driving down the road.
We figured this could save the institution about $100,000 or more a year by having our own bus as opposed to chartering it. Am I right about that?
Yeah, that's our projected savings, and with diesel and everything price going up, it's even going to be more probably just because they add more when they have to charge us. So looking forward to that. If anyone has a CDL and is interested in driving, contact the athletic department.
We also have some changes in on the administrative side of the house. Carson, you want to talk a little bit about the controller's office and where we are on the chart of accounts? I know, thank you for being patient with our budget sort of reporting as we get this chart of accounts, but I think we're nearly there, right?
We are getting close. We have probably about 2 weeks, so that's the target that we've got. It's been a complex process, I think, as everybody knows, and it's been a frustrating process, I know. And so I appreciate everybody's patience and help on that. The general fund budgets, those are in. The accounting is working correctly. The only piece that we're working on now is that interfund cash. So all the things that aren't tied to the general fund, and that's what we're working on. And we've got a target date of 2 weeks to have that complete. So if you do have questions about your budget, ask you to reach out to Sherry Hansen. If you've got questions about kind of the day-to-day transactions, the accounting piece of that, contact Carly Fowles. Or if you've got questions about the purchase orders and the P cards, then contact Mike Jorgensen. But President, as you mentioned, there have been some changes there, and I think one of the things that is also added to the complication here in the chart of accounts has been the turnover in the controller's office. And so we're excited to announce that we're filling some of those holes, and we're filling those with some familiar faces and names. So John Rule, who was here at Snow College for a long time, is coming back to fill that position that was vacated by Carly, and so he'll be the AVP of Finance down there helping. The John Knutsen's role, we are happy to have Nate Millward back at Snow College helping that. And so Nate Millward will be an assistant controller and helping John. And then the other exciting announcement is that Carly Fowles has also been named as an assistant controller and helping John in that. So we have some tremendous capacity down in that office, and we're really excited about the changes down there, and bringing back some familiar faces and being able to advance some familiar faces. So, President, things are looking good. Again, thank you for your patience and understanding through this time, but but we're looking to make some really good progress and be able to kind of check that box here in a couple weeks.
Okay, as we wind down here, then last but not least, Vice President Stacy McKiff, talk a little bit about our tech ed component and all the great things happening there and in Richfield.
All right, thanks. I know that we're running out of time here, so I'll just be quick and talk about two really cool events that have happened over the last couple of weeks. Number one is last night we recognized two businesses in the region, one out of Wayne County, Sleeping Rainbow Jeep Adventures in Torrey and Grandma Berta's in Manti. Those two businesses have had a lot of assistance from our Small Business Development Center. So that's Tim and Christine and Kenley and Tyra under the direction of Darren Owens there. And so we really appreciate this relationship with industry. It's something we've worked really hard on continuing to do, not just on the SBDC and economic development side, but with our faculty. And so just a great shout out to all the faculty who are in technical or working on technical programs right now, because we're going through a statewide alignment and it's challenging. But in the meantime, they're reaching out to industry, they're having meetings, they're learning what industry wants. I just left the diesel advisory committee meeting right before this and had a great representation from industry around the region and beyond. So it's exciting what everyone is doing there. And then the second just quick thing is in conjunction with Terry's team in admissions and all of our faculty here in Richfield on the manufacturing side, as well as Heidi Stringham and Dustin Shakespeare from Public Ed K-12, we held a CTE Completers Day, and that was for high school students, seniors, who had completed the pathway in a manufacturing area. So we brought them to campus in Richfield and we awarded $500 scholarships to them on the spot. And as a result, we awarded about $40,000 in scholarships, tech ed scholarship money, which is part of the tech ed allocation from the legislature. And so 150 high school seniors were invited to come, and 80 of them received those scholarships. So we're excited to hopefully do as Terry was talking about and through our tech ed programs, add to this enrollment growth that we expect to have this summer and fall. I'd love to talk to anyone about any of the tech programs we're doing. Every time I talk about this, someone from campus emails me and says, hey, my son's doing this, or I have a connection to industry doing that. So please keep passing those along to us. It's a top priority to connect with industry. Thanks, President.
Thank you. And just we're winding down here, just to make sure that you feel free to give feedback to us about these town hall meetings and anything else. We want to be able to serve you in the very best way we can. We understand and know that decisions impact lots of people, so we want to make sure we're informed as much as we can, and really we're all committed to a better, more compassionate culture of care here at Snow College. And so I just thank you so much for your commitment, your time time today. We only have about 8 minutes before we have to move into the first budget hearing, but if there are questions that in the last few minutes that we have, happy to sort of address those here, or please send us an email, talk to any of the cabinet members or anybody else. We want to be able to hear you, and it's really important that you do make your voice heard so that we can make the best decision on behalf of the campus, broadly speaking. So if there are any questions, I'm not seeing any, Melanie or Marcy rather, on the board here. But thank you so much for those that have stuck around. It's been almost 2 hours here. We appreciate it. And we hope this has been useful and giving some context to some certain decisions that are making. But listen, this is an institution in great shape. We are, and it's because of you. And it's because of our students that we have, the communities that we reside in. and it's just an honor of a lifetime to be working with you. So with that, thanks for all of the participants today, the panel, and we will see you hopefully at the luncheon on the 19th here at Richfield, the 20th up in Ephraim. And in the meantime, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and until we see you again, all the best. Thank you.